Why, hello, all you wacky weirdos. Thrash Pondo here, and I'm actually a few minutes late for my traditional Sunday live chat. Yeah, as always, I always do a little prep work beforehand because it takes me longer to get going than I planned for, and for some reason, everything went swimmingly well, a little too well. So now I'm actually early, but we have our first guest. We have Christopher Wilkinson is here, and Rachel. Rachel on the 208 is here. Rachel, and Snark Sass is here. Snarky, so good to see you. Welcome to the party. And it's almost like you guys were waiting for me to show up. Great to see you guys, by the way. And again, Rachel, I guess you missed the notification altogether for the show the other night. By the way, terribly sorry. But Sean Innes is here. Says, "Hey, all, Sean, I absolutely." Sean took the liberty of playing the game in absentia. I love your recommendations, by the way. Some great stuff. And Snark says, not late this time. No, you're actually early. And again, literally, I didn't even get just as I'm hitting end stream, I saw your name pop up. I'm like, no. So anyway, I'm very sorry that I wasn't able to give you a shout out, meet and greet, but thank you for showing up in the last seconds as it was. And I'm so glad that you are here this eve. Sean says, I like Annie and the Planet of the Apes. Oh, the apes will come out tomorrow. That's the best I can do on such short notice. But yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. And Rachel says, "Yes, I missed, but congratulations on 4 years." Yeah, I don't know why didn't get the notification, Rachel. I'm very sorry, but I'm glad you are with us tonight. And other than that, not too much to tell. Pretty much. Gary Carpenter is here and says, "Hey everyone, I'm back." And yes, by the way, Mr. North did pass on the original Dennis the Menace. Rest in peace. And Sean says, "I was wrong, but sort of right about that one." Well, I mean, you can mash up anything. By the way, the trick is just to do. Well, I believe they actually someone actually, Sean, I believe it was you, brought up they have a term for that on, Wheel of Fortune, where it's this and that or before and after or something like that, but yeah, it's basically the same thing. Ken Ober had a game show called Smoosh, and it's where you put 2 things together. I don't know if I'll do that again as a game, but I might read a few in here and there as a lark. Mashups. Yes, thank you, mashups. Although I like before and after better too, by the way. Yeah. Ken Ober was actually from, I believe, Massachusetts. He actually was living in Martha's Vineyard when he died. He was the original host of Remote Control, with Colin Quinn and of course Adam Sandler, who was also from Massachusetts. Sean says maybe short runs of 5 instead of 10. What I was actually thinking of is, well, there's 2 things I was thinking about doing. One, doing them as like a top 10 list, only instead of giving people a chance, just sort of like go random. What do you call a yada yada with a blada blada with a blada yada? Like what do you call a movie about? Uh, I'll just pick one off the top of my head. Owners of a property infested with demons find their trying to save the universe with a mystic shard. Don't be afraid of the dark crystal. So I'll do it more as like a joke as opposed to give you a chance for ponderance. But again, like my life, it's a work in progress. Snark says, "Oh yeah," and oh yeah to you too, Snark. And Rachel says, "I love Remote Control." I thought that show was like a riot. I thought it was a great show, and I thought Colin Quinn was outstanding on that show. I never understood why he never went farther. I mean, he had an impressive career, but again, I don't know. He even had his own show on A&E for a while, but I'm not sure why he didn't go farther. Adam Sandler certainly went plenty far. That's for darn sure. As Stud Boy. And Sean says, especially when people come up with some funny ones. I like my Who's Afraid of the Naked Prey and the one about Demon Seed. Yeah, Who's Afraid of Naked Prey was good. I imagine a lot of people would be afraid of things that are naked and of prey, but yes. And Gary says Margaret Jean Russell is the only one left from the show. No kidding. That's I did not know that. In responses here it says people might be more responsive to mashups if you included actors in the question to help narrow down the field of touch. That's a really, really good idea, actually. That's a really good idea. Now that you mention it. F. Murray Abraham discovers an artificial intelligence, say, in Amadeus Ex Machina. Yeah, I love that. Oh, Dan, the breaking news man. Hey, Dan, so good to see you again, my brother. He says, I have returned again. Yes, the prodigal son on replay. But yeah, so glad to see you, my brother. And yeah, I get to, I love the idea of including actors and actresses, and you could actually do from either side. Get the cast involved. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Gary says, T. I saw the show this afternoon and I couldn't get on the chat room. My phone was acting up again. Sorry to hear that, bro. It may have also been because I was simulcast. It wasn't my uh pardon me, my main show. I was just broadcasting what was on Tug's show. Um that shouldn't be an issue, but it's the only thing I could think of. But sorry, your phone is acting wonky, as it were. And so anyway, tonight, by the way, there will be trivia. There will be trivia. I must confess, it's all about me. Like the show, it's all about me. But again, I think some of the questions that I've asked before, and as a little special bonus, I'm toying with the ideas. I came up with a top 10 list of my dad jokes revolving around Canada. I decided to take advantage of the current political hot potato and be a little controversial. But don't worry, the jokes themselves aren't particularly controversial. I'm not stupid or insulting. And mon gamin habite Quebec. I am actually one full quarter Canadian. For those of you who didn't already know that, but I might share a sample of some of these top 10 jokes as the show progresses. And Dan saying hi, and he says, Bob finally found a trivia category he can really get behind. Yes, me. Oh, and by the way, again, if you blank out today, Indy, I am so sorry. I don't know why your responses were falling into the land of naught. That's happened before too, by the way. And I'm very, very, very sorry. And Teddy's like, greetings from South Carolina. Is South Carolina still there? Earlier today, he was discussing a nasty storm system coming through his area. And yeah, Dan J. North has died. And oh, Tab is with us. Hey, Tab, what's going on, my brother? Terrell Union Bellinger. He says, hello, Thrash, RIP Jane North, the star of 59 to 63 sitcom Dennis the Menace. He was 73 when he passed away from cancer. Very sad. But thank you for letting us know. Very, very sad. Zuplex is here. He says, good evening. Oh, and Anthony Jordan, Movies and Gaming, is here. Mr. Jordan, so glad to have you, and it's great to see you again, my brother. Welcome to the Fun and Games. And yes, as you folks know, Anthony Jordan and I often frequent Kevin and Entertainment headquarters, his shows there. And in fact, I believe we have another one coming up. Hopefully the end of this month. But keep us posted. Cindy D is here and says, hello, everyone. I'm back. Cindy, we were just talking about you. We haven't seen you in a while. Hope all is well. Hope you are doing well. We miss you very, 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 very much and glad you are with us this evening. Please don't be such a stranger. Dan says, Thrash, should I feel happy that we lived through a great decades of movies, TV shows, and music, or feel sad that our performers are slowly dying off? No one lives forever. No one gets out alive. I'm not saying that to be depressing. I'm just like saying is please feel good for the people who had good runs. And yes, we lived through a golden age of entertainment. And hopefully, with any luck at all, we'll see a new one before we, let's just say, as Steve would say, meet our own sad ending. Denny says, "We're in the storm now. So far, so good. Keeping their fingers crossing." Indy says, "That was weird. The internet apparently won't endorse my love of mashups. Odd." CDD says, RIP to Val Kilmer. I know, heavy casualty. Very, very, very sad. And again, RIP to Jane North. Christopher says, "Good evening, Cindy. It's good to see you as always." It certainly is. It's great to have her back, isn't it, Christopher? And Teb says, "Thrash, would you please consider doing a special trivia in memory of the great Val Kilmer in your next show?" Yes, next show will be Val Kilmer trivia. I will do that for you. And thank you for your suggestion. And your next live show. Yes, of course, of course. I knew what you meant. And a lot of people saying hi to Cindy, as well they should. Cindy says, "I'm fine, Thrash, just going through a lot right now. More sympathetic could I not be." Anthony Jordan says, "There's still golden stuff out there, but you're probably going to have to look overseas for most of it." Yes, there is still some work of quality that comes out. I'm just such a nostalgia buff. Usually, rather than dig through it, I pull out my old movies from the 60s and 70s and 80s and content myself with that. But no, Mr. Jordan, you are correct. There is quality work coming, particularly from the overseas market. We were just talking not too long ago about the recent reboot of Shogun. For starters, Tracy Rothmeyer says, "Hi, you guys. Tracy, so good to see you." Zuplik says, "Don't bet on it, T Pawns." I'll bet on any sucker bet I can find. And Rachel's saying hello to everyone. And Dan says, "Three this week: Richard Chamberlain, Jane North, and Val Kilmer." Yeah, been heavy casualties this week. Very heavy casualties. And a lot of people saying hello to one another. Nice seeing you again, Thrash. Nice to see you too, Tracy. And everybody wish Miss Tracy a speedy recovery. She broke her ankle in two places. Youch. Lance is here popping in to say hi. Lance, while you are here, please, two things. One, stick around as long as you want. Two, I got a friend request from you on Facebook, but we're already friends. Did you open up a second account, or is this new account, were you hacked? That happened to me once. I was getting people were getting friend requests from me, and it wasn't me. So if it's you, let me know. If it's not you, well, let me know that too. Kevin Scott 76 is here, and he says, "Hey, Thrash, just played 3 concerts this weekend, including the Mozart Mass. Very proud of you. Very impressive." And Dan says, "Top Gun, Thornbirds, and Dennis. Oh my. Top Gun and Thornbirds and Dennis. Oh my, Top Gun." And Indy says to Dan the Breaking News, "Man, everybody dies, Dan. Some people are just doing it better than others." Well said. And Zuplik says, "That's why it's called a sucker bet, as opposed to a sucker bird." That was my grandfather's favorite bird, the yellow-bellied sapsucker. Hey, Robbie, come here. Daddy grabs, wants to show you. See that bird over there in that tree over there? See that bird? That's you know what they call that bird? That's a yellow-bellied sapsucker. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that was my grandfather, folks. He looked like Burl Ives, but he talked like Jimmy Stewart to an extent. And Christopher says, "How about some Dennis the Menace trivia, Bob?" I know frighteningly little about Jay North, but I might throw a couple in there for good measure. And Mr. Jordan says, "Friday the 13th, part two. Not my favorite Friday the 13th, but it's the one I find the most rewatchable. It's definitely one of those comfort movies for me." I love the opening sequence in that movie, by the way. To that The opening sequence really freaked me out in that movie. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to say anything, but you know exactly what I'm talking about, I'm sure. Oh, same account. Yeah, 'cause I'm still friends. So yes, Lance, you and I um still on Facebook. I just, like I said, I wanted to make sure you weren't hacked, because that sucks. That's a pain in the ass when you get hacked. A lot of people saying hi to Lance. Uh Cindy says, "A long time no see," to Lance. Uh Zipper says, "Get to the point, Jimmy." Get to the point, Jimmy. There's a song in there somewhere. And Dan says, "John Carpenter got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and tomorrow Billie Jean King is getting her star." Excellent, excellent. But I'm really glad Carpenter got his. It's long overdue. And Cindy says Dennis the Menace was set in my hometown. No kidding. No kidding. I did not know that. I did look. And Rachel says, I like Saturday the 14th. You know, a friend of mine actually did some work on Saturday the 14th, part two, with Avery Shriver. And Gary says, Rachel, I found it on YouTube and haven't watched it yet. And Zerbrug says, as in Jimmy Stewart and his babbling. Oh, yeah, yeah, oh, you know, that was Jimmy Stewart's his kick. He would stammer and sort of he'd talk around things, you know, when he was talking to people, you know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Although the yeah bit was more like Edward G. Robinson. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you were talking to him, like when you're trying to explain to him why you got like a C on your report card. Well, see diagrams like this, and he'd be like, yeah, 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 yeah. Like I'm not buying it. You can finish the story, but I'm not buying it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss Daddy Grims. Grandpa Jim too. I miss both my grandfathers, and at least one of my grandmothers. Let's just see. Christopher says I probably saw every single episode of Dennis the Menace. And Gary Carpenter says, KY, I think I did too. And Tracy says Jimmy Stewart was a war hero. Yes, he retired as a brigadier general, but during World War II, he bombed the heck out of Germany. In fact, if you watch The World at War, my all-time favorite World War II documentary of all time, hosted by Sir Laurence Olivier, he actually is one of the experts they bring in to discuss the war. And Denny says Jimmy Stewart was highly overrated. I never liked him at all. It's a free country. And Gary Carpenter says everyone from Hazel is dead, even the son. Oh, that's sad. She retired to Cape Cod, you know. The lady who played Hazel, I can't think of her name, but yeah, she was living in shadow when she passed on. God, that's close to 30 years ago now. And Cindy says, I loved Edward G. Robinson, one of my favorite film. Which one was one of your favorite films? I'm going to guess Ten Commandments. Of course, we all know what his last film was, don't we? And Zerblick says, takes an hour to say something that should ordinarily take only a minute. Indeed. And he says to Rachel that movie was produced by Roger Corman's wife. Oh, hang on. I'm gonna go back and see which movie that was. Oh, Saturday the 14th. Yes. Yeah, I knew that. I knew that actually. And Cindy says, I see. There's more. Noir actors Elizabeth Scott is my favorite female actor. Oh, excellent, excellent. And Mr. Jordan says my favorite Jimmy Stewart movie is Rear Window. I actually saw that in the theaters when I was in high school, and I brought a date. I brought a date to a Hitchcock movie. When I was in high school, the local theater was actually started playing some of the old Hitchcocks as part of like some anniversary or something. I forget what, but I got to see Rear Window. One of my favorite Hitchcock movies too. Classic video games here. It says, hey, it's Yogi. Hey, it's Yogi. Indy says Shirley Booth. I'm not in a booth, and don't call me Shirley. So it says including the second family. And video game says Life of Brian. Love Life of Brian. Oh, Tom McClusk is here. He says hi, people. Tug is here. He said made it. Zublik says hello, Thomas. And Gary Carpenter says, Indy, yeah, she is. And a lot of people saying hello to one another. So I'm going to skim down through that because I'm not getting behind. Kevin Scott 76 says, yes, C major, the only mass he wrote. And Rachel says Indy knows a lot about trivia. Yes, Indy certainly does. And Cindy says, saw Purple Rain at 17 with two different dates at the same time. It was a Prince film. No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. But yeah, I love Purple Rain. Um, that would have been 84, I want to say. Um, and Dan says Shirley Booth was the voice of Mrs. Claus in The Year Without a Santa Claus with Heat Miser. Oh, Shirley Booth was Hazel. I completely forgot that her name was Shirley Booth. Thank you, Superplex. Now that I have the content. But yeah, she was I was just thinking about that one. That scene where she sends Jingle and Jangle off, and she's trying not to tell Santa but she's poor Jingle, poor Jangle. And he's like, What? What are you talking about? Oh, nothing, nothing. For Christ's sake, woman, stop bringing up Jingle and Jangle. He's going to know something is wrong. But what do I know? But yeah, Shirley Booth was the lady in question. She's saying, I could be Santa Claus. Gary says, I'm a nostalgia buff myself. Most people on my show are. Indy says, Shirley Booth played Hazel Bob. Don't make me take away your card. Yeah, it took me a second, but as you can see, my feeble brain is kicked into gear. Gary says, Dan, I knew that cause it's one of my favorites. And Denny says, did Jimmy Stewart make any good movies that don't involve Alfred Hitchcock or a giant rabbit? LOL. Um, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Cindy D says, not at the same time, Thrash. It was 84. Yes, I was kidding. But I don't know. It was the 80s. It was an anything's go kind of decade. And Gary says, everyone from Green Acres are gone as well. Yeah, but they were old to begin with. There was no kid on Green Acres. And Rachel says, I loved the show Hazel. I was a costume, I won a costume contest at the roller rink dressed as Hazel. Oh, totes adorbs. Cool story. And Tug says the man who shot Liberty Valance, Danny. That's a great one. That's a great movie. And Zuplik says didn't like the man who shot Liberty Valance, Dan, or Anatomy of a Murder. Ooh. Well, wait. I thought Anatomy of a Murder was Hitchcock. But I could be wrong there. And City D says, I got spurs that jingle, jangle, jingle as I go riding merrily along. And they say, now ain't you glad you're single? And the song ain't so very mar from a copyright strike. So I'm going to stop right there. But I'm going to have that song stuck in my head all night now. Thank you. And Gary says, Tracy, oops. And I thought I was clumsy. And Rachel says Shirley Booth was in Come Back Little Sheba. I'm not sure if I saw that. Classic Video Game says they're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're positively ooky. The Adams Family. And Indy says to Danny, yes, about 30 or so. Would you like a list? Indy has come to play. And Gary says, but our show will live on. Yes, our shows will live on. They certainly will. They certainly will. And mysterious and spooky. Yes. And Denny says, I used to tell my kids, be good at Christmas, or I'll make you watch It's a Wonderful Life. Dude, I like It's a Wonderful Life. And someone says, nope, Otto Preminger. Oh, Otter Preminger did Anatomy of a Murder. Thank you, by the way. Thank you. But you can see my confusion. And this is backed up by Indy. And Cindy says, "Sing it, Thrash." And Gary Carpenter says, "Mr. Freeze." Yeah, wasn't he in a war movie too? By the way, wasn't he in Stalag 17 or something like that? I think. I think. No, no, that wasn't Otto Preminger. That was someone else. And the book says he was the coolest Mr. Freeze, Gary, but I'm bumped. Watching me in series says, hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late. And Tom saying hello to people. And Kevin says, a Thrash, what is your easier song? The backup song you can always sing to get rid of the other one that gets stuck in your head. Um, I don't fear the Reaper. Don't stop believing. Anything with the word "don't" in it, I guess. Um, and Gary says to Jay North was in the movie Zebra in the Kitchen. What was the movie, by the way, where they spent the entire movie saying, "Is the zebra black with white stripes or white with black stripes?" It was some screwball comedy from the 60s. Oh, that's gonna bother me now. Don't fear the Reaper. Mr. Jordan says, "Who heard about the that edit of It's a Wonderful Life that was on Prime that completely cut out the part where he goes to see the world without him?" I have not seen that, but you wouldn't have much of a movie, would you? Billy Wilder directed. Yes, Billy Wilder directed it, but the German camp commander, um, was that Stronheim? It wasn't Preminger. I think it was Stronheim. But he was a German director, but played a German in the Billy Wilder movie Stalag 17. And yes, everyone's coming out of the woodwork to say, but oh, and Zubik says, but didn't wait, so was it Otto Preminger who played the camp commander in Stalag 17, or was it Eric von Sternheim? Was Sternheim even still alive at that time? But it's one or the other. It's either Otto Preminger or Eric von Stroheim who played the camp commander in Stalag 17. But yeah, Zerblix, I see where you're going with that. Cindy says, "Don't stop till you get enough." Um, Love Michael. That song never really clicked with me. I don't know, a little too repetitive for me. Maybe I don't know. And classics. A video game says, Green Acres is the place to farm. It's the song from Green Acres. And Kevin Scott 76 says, "Imagine It's a Wonderful Life," directed by Alfred Hitchcock. I thought it was. And Gary says, "Kevin, that would be a nightmare." And Trey says, "Say hi to both Mrs. Thrashes." Um, yeah, Mrs. Thrash is somewhere. I think he's watching The Big Bang Theory. And Mama Thrash actually. All right, so Mama Thrash is actually going to be watching that. Everybody say hi, Mama Thrash. And Mr. Jordan says, "The first time I see It's a Wonderful Life was in middle school. I was a class day and they showed it in the school auditorium. So I guess I technically got to see it in a theater." And it was Auto and Song 17. Thank you, Indy. I'm a little behind here, so I'll try to catch up. Gary says, "Say hi to your mom and Mrs. Thrash." Um, will do, have done. And he says Von Stroheim played the butler in yes, Sunset Boulevard, if that helps, which it doesn't. No, I knew I saw him in something else, and I think he did play a German in officer in something else. But thank you, very very good. But yes, that one is definite. And don't you want me, baby? And Tom says, "I love The Great Escape." Oh, The Great Escape is a wonderful, wonderful war movie. And Dan says, "Google search the movie Kumba 2013 features a zebra named Kumba who was born without stripes and is blamed for a drought, with the story exploring the idea of zebras being black with white stripes." Wonderful factoid. And Gary loves Sunset Boulevard. A lot of people saying hi to one another. And Emily is here. Emily, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad you could make it this evening. And you just jumped off the page. I'll have to go back a little bit. Just wanted to jump in and say hi to Tracy. Yes, I'm lurking until I know for sure that I'm not lagging. I guess I won't know until the trivia starts, which it should in just a few minutes, my dear. But I'm so glad you are here. And Classic says, "Hello there, darling Mrs. Thrash." Oh, that's so sweet. And Zubik says, "Hello to Mama Thrash." And Tracy says she misses Emily, as do we all. And Classic says, "You're looking wonderful tonight." Oh, the Yeah, the Krista Bard song. Um, and Cindy says hello, and Roger Bean says hello, Mrs. Thrash and Mama Thrash. And Christopher says, good to see you. And Indy says, um, von Sondheim was a German officer, quite famously in Renoir's Grand Illusion. Not familiar with that one, but thank you very much for your aid. And Teb says, guess this beloved 80s sitcom, liberal ex hippie parents raising their Gen X kids, one of them a Republican during the conservative Reagan era. Family Ties. Someone says Flipper. They call him Flipper. Flipper. Rachel says, this is off topic, but today I saw a very weird teen dark comedy from the 60s called Lord Love a Duck with Roddy McDowell. There's a bell ringing in my head, but I think it might just be the tinnitus. Stella! Hey, Stella! Anytime someone at the bar orders a Stella, I do that. Emily says, Cindy, I couldn't if I tried. Danny says, got to chase off a bear. I'll be back. Good luck with that. Gary says Jimmy Stewart was in John Wayne's last movie. The shootist. He plays the surgeon. The doctor says, "Oh, yeah, the stuff I give you, this laudanum, it'll terrible. You'll be able to force it down." But yeah, that was him. All John Wayne's friends were in that movie. I absolutely loved it. I loved the fact that he basically found a part for like all his friends to be with him in his last movie. And Tom says, met Roddy McDowell at my second convention in 1976. Excellent. And Cindy says, don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Let me stop. Keep going as much as you want, Cindy. I love playing this game. And Gary says, DS, make sure it's not Ben. Gentle Ben, yes, indeed, indeed. Or Ben and his army of rats. Emily says, wait, what, Danny? And Tug says, I'm still here, just multitasking. No, Tug, we know you are here with us. Tug will be with us always. And Cindy says, oh, nobody knows Emily. And Tug says, hello to watch. Ziblik says, Tuesday Weld was in the movie T-Pawns. Rings a bell. Well, Tuesday Weld certainly rang a few bells in her day. I'll give you that much. But and Dan says it's Family Ties. What did I say? I thought I said Family Ties. But yeah, the family movie with the hippie parents and Michael Keaton, and yes, and Indy says I suspected something was afoot when they used the theme from Flipper in those thalidomide ads. Really, really. And Gary says, Tom, you lucky duck. I loved him when he played Bookworm on Batman. A lot of people forget the Bookworm. A lot of people forget the Bookworm, but to me, he'll always be associated with Planet of the Apes. But the Bookworm was great. And Tom says, call me Bob if you still have my number. I do. I believe I do. You know what? We'll find out tomorrow. I'll call you tomorrow, and if you pick up, then we'll know that I have your number. And Classic Game says, "Do you know every time you go to a bar, everybody knows your name? You cheers where everybody knows your name, Norm." And Watch Bean says, "Cheers." And Jordan says, I was so used to Harry Morgan from MASH that when I watched The Shootist for the first time, it was weird seeing him play someone unlikable. That actually happens a lot. You get so accustomed to seeing somebody in a certain type of character that when you see him out of context, it's jarring. He also plays kind of a jerk in um High Noon. Classic Video Game says, LOL. Emily says, just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a grateful Gilligan's Island. And Gary says Christopher Reeve was in the remake of Rear Window. Didn't see it, but I remember that vaguely. And Ted says, guess the beloved 80s sitcom, a retired athlete and single dad moves to Connecticut to become a live-in housekeeper for a uh high-powered ad exec single mom. Who's the boss? Played by Tony Danza and starring a very young Alyssa Milano, who, when she was substantially older, I may or may not have hit on at a college party when I was in college. And Tom says Gary got almost 500 autographs in my collection. Oh, excellent, excellent. And Game says, what do you mean? Also says, who's the boss? Rachel says, a tale of a fateful ship or trip or the pilot actually it was a Calypso number, which is really really funny because they were in Hawaii, and Calypso is Caribbean, or should I say Gulf of America. Actually what they want to do now is they want to split the Gulf of Mexico into two parts, and you know how they're going to do it with a seesaw. Someone says Will and Grace. And Tug says, I will remember that. CGI. And Gary says Lucille Ball. We got Who's the Boss from Tug. Kevin says Rat Patrol, trying to remember the theme song. There was no lyrics, but it was this very sort of kick-ass sort of dun da da dun da da. And remember, he's on the back of that Jeep with the 30 caliber, and I remember when I first saw that, like when I was like in middle school, high school, or something, and I thought that looked so much fun. I wanted to ride around in a desert on the back of a Jeep with a 30 caliber. I imagine if you had to do that during the war, it wouldn't have been as much fun. And Tom says, went to the Cheers bar in Boston, the Bullfinch pub. And Cindy says, duh, don't you forget my name. Simple Minds, they forgot about it and hated that song. I always, don't you forget about me. It's possibly the most overplayed song from the 1980s, but it's applicable to this game, so please continue. And Emily says we had a Cheers in Hickory. Not sure how they got away with the name. Um, you, it's my understanding you can't copyright a name. So as long as there's no true copyright infringement, you're okay. Book says Roddy McDowell was willing to do anything, including Hollywood Squares, but at least he didn't do a commercial for Thunderbird wine. He did the Cabernet show too, by the way. So he says LOL thrash. And Rachel says, please don't say Gulf of America. I was kidding, it was a joke. Joke. And What You Mean says, oh, here's Lucy. Gary says, here's Lucy. And What You Mean says, I have the same birth date and year as Alyssa Milano. No kidding. Small world, small world. And Tug says, loud saxophone sounds to a New York City skyline. And Video Game says, what can they sing us a song? This song called Horse with No Name. And Indy says to Kim, God, sure, I was seeing if I remembered the correct cultural number, I can look it up and try not to put you on the spot like that. And Emily says, we'll raise the yes. Remember, we avoid politics like it was yard work on this channel. Of course, it was my damn fault for saying Gulf America, but it was kidding. And Gary says, I didn't realize you lived in Hickory. I have a friend of mine who lives in Vadiz. And oh, Mr. Tony is here. Mr. Tony the Dead is here, and he speaks in emojis and is basically saying hello. And hello to you, Tony the Dead. So glad you could make it. And Cindy says it's good to be out of the rain. Oh, yeah, here's one for you, by the way. Okay, trivia question, trivia, or just give me your opinion. The horse with no name. Could the horse with no name have been Wildfire? Remember, they never did find Wildfire again. Could the man who rode through the desert, could he have found Wildfire? Mm, mm, mm. And Teb says, guess this beloved 80s sitcom, offbeat adventures of a young judge and his team of misfits working at the night shift in a Manhattan courthouse. Night court. And everyone got that one. And let's just see. And Emily says, Gary, I was born and raised there, lived there until I got married 10 years ago. Lot of it says Law and Order. Yet Night Court. Cindy says Night Court. Shannon says hello to everyone. And I'm just gonna skim down. Oh, Zipple says his name was Mr. Ed. Rachel says wildfire. She ran cold. I'm very, very sorry. I'm not trying to be mean here, but the lady was being a silly nilly when she ran in the blizzard looking for Wildfire. Wildfire is a horse. They have a natural sense of direction. The horse is going to run out, but the horse is going to come back. Humans have no such thing as a natural sense of direction. They go out into the woods in a blizzard and they die. So it was a very sad song, but she really shouldn't have gone after the horse. Um, uh, Classic Video Game says maybe you find them in the pasture, Thresh. They put me out to pasture, actually. And I'm going to skip to Dan says, I think the horse with no name was called Elmer. Oh, they made him into glue. It's like in Young Frankenstein, Bluka. Bluka is a German brand of glue. For Bluka. But you know what? It's after 8, guys. It's after 8. And I'm just going to read Indy's response here, and then we'll do the trivia. And he says, I'm not sure Wildfire would make it all the way to the nearest desert. She was a little girl, Bob. You may want to out her. Oh, cut her some slack. Cut her some slack. She was a little girl? Oh, I thought it was the guy's fiance. I thought it was the guy living in the Colorado in the not the Alps, the Rockies. I thought he was living in the Rockies with his fiance and their horse Wildfire. I didn't know it was a little girl. That even makes it sadder. Oh, thank you. Now I'm sad. And Emily says maybe she preferred going after the horse rather than staying with her husband. I get that. But as we've established, maybe it wasn't the wife. Maybe it was a little girl. Either way, this story is getting grim. I'm that's Headley Superplex. And Emily also said, "Oh, she was the kid." Well, I blame the parents then. His name was Mr. Ed. Uh, Hi, I'm Mr. Dead. Okay, so anyway, tonight's trivia is going to be on me. Well, on my content channel, actually. And as always, I shall read them in no particular order. And if you've been paying attention to me for the last 4 years, you should manage to get a few of them just from picking them up through clues. But anyway, number 10. Who is my favorite sci fi author of all time? Is it A, Brian Wilson Aldous, B, Ray Bradbury, C, Richard Matheson, or D, Robert Heinlein? I shall come in again. Who is my favorite sci fi author of all time? Is it A, Brian Wilson Aldous, B, Ray Bradbury, C, Richard Matheson, or D, Robert Heinlein? Uh, oh, I hope they got the Baron Simmons. I know he died. Oh, that's sad. I know you're kidding, Zuplex, but you're still sick. Oh, and in fairness to you all, they're all authors I've talked about. They are all authors that I've talked about, but there's only one correct answer. There can be only one, and it wasn't the guy who wrote that, I promise you. Emily says, "Yeah, I'm lagging pretty bad, so I'm just gonna listen, I guess." I'm sorry that you were lagging, miss, but anyway, that is cool. I'm glad you're still with us. And the correct answer is actually A. Brian Wilson Aldis. Cindy says there was all of the above. Thrash. And he says you talk about Aldis at a rate of about 10 to 1 for all the other three combined. It's probably about right. And Sean says, here we are, born to be free. Uh, we are the princes of the universe. I think you do. The rebels are we, born to be free, like fish in the sea. And Born to be Kings, yes, the Highlander song by Queen. Queen sang a song about kings. And oh dear, I forgot to number the rest. Well, I'll have to wing it. So I'm guessing this is 9. And not which is oh, I'm sorry. Which adaptation of The Mountains of Madness have I reviewed? Was it A, The Horror Express, B, John Carpenter's The Thing, C, Who Goes There, or From the Mouth of Madness? I shall repeat. Which adaptation of At the Mountains of Madness, by H.P. Lovecraft, have I reviewed? Was it A, Horror Express, B, John Carpenter's The Thing, C, Who Goes There, or D, uh, Thing from the Mouth of Madness? So he says, "Don't cry for me, Argentina." Let's just see. Wait, did I review Who Goes There? A lot of people are saying C, and I'm like, I I think I've talked about John Campbell's Who Goes. Oh, speaking of which, Tug, I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting. You mentioned something months ago, and we had talked about how like a lot of golden age science fiction from the 50s and 60s was really, really, really heavy with references to ESP and um, ESP using people in the future. And you said that was all the result of this one sci-fi guru who I guess had control over the guild of some kind. Was it John C. Campbell? I can't remember which author it was. So this isn't a trivia question, guys. This is just the rambling. But uh I don't remember months ago. But yes, it was Campbell. It was Campbell. Yep. Apparently, he had like he managed to like have control where you could only get stuff published if you played his game and mentioned DSP. And anyway, the correct answer is Horror Express, which is technically an adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mouth of Madness. And that's the only one I've reviewed. Number 8. According to, well, me, what is the most influential post apocalyptic horror flick of all time? Is it A, I Am Legend, B, Things to Come, C, Night of the Living Dead, or D, Day of the Triffids? I'll come in again. According to, well, me, what is the most influential post apocalyptic horror flick of all time? Is it A, I Am Legend? I can't even say it with a straight face. B, Things to Come. C, Not Living Dead. Or D, Day of the Triffids. And I did a top 10 list on this, by the way. So you should start watching my top 10 list playlist if you get the answer right. In fact, yes, that's your homework. If you get this answer wrong, you have to watch my top 10 list playlist. And a boy and his dog. Let's just see. Well, I do see the right answer. I'm looking to see what Tug. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but you're actually one of the people I talked about this with. Getting information for my retrospect. It was Day of the Triffids. Remember, I said there was before Day of the Triffids and after Day of the Triffids. If you watch Day of the Triffids, which isn't a particularly great post-apocalyptic flick, but you can actually see influences of it in pretty much everything that was made after it. Yes, Day of the Triffids is, in my opinion, the most influential post-apocalyptic sci-fi horror flick because it influenced pretty much the entire subgenre afterward. Yes, Sean, you got it right. You got it right. But um, apparently, Tug is right. Apparently, he can't remember months ago. I'm sorry. I'm teasing. I kid. I'm a kidder. I think we're at number 7 now. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, number 7. Which Aldous classic was left out of the Brian Wilson Aldous starter kit? Was it A, Hot House, B, Frankenstein Unbound, C, Graybeard, or D, Star Swarm? John says, I know you like the movie, but I couldn't remember if it was post apocalyptic. Tis. And Teb says, did I miss the last question? Yes, according to me, what was the most the most influential post apocalyptic film of all time? And here, I'll even give you your choices. I Am Legend, Things to Come, Not a Living Dead, or Day of the Triffids. Oh, and let me repeat this one. Which Aldous classic was left out of the Brian Wilson Aldous starter kit? Was it A, Hot House, B, Frankenstein Unbound, C, Graybeard, or D, Star Swarm? Give you guys another second. Graybeard is actually really cool, Sydney. Graybeard, what happens is it's set in the not too distant future. Above ground atomic testing caused the Van Allen belts to crash down on the Earth, and it causes mass sterilization of the human race. And this boy, who was a kid when that happens, it shows his life for the next 50 years. And he basically watches the Earth empty while he reflects on what it is to be human as the humans just sort of disappear. There's actually a happy ending, which I won't ruin, or a possible happy ending if you want to interpret that way. And I rush to say it before the PD James fans out there do. Yes, uh, Children of Man is a nod, a wink, an homage to a Graybeard. The two of them actually had the same producer. But I digress. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Uh, Frank of mine. And he says Thrash is reciting Aldous plots. We've lost him. The correct answer was actually Frankenstein Unbound. Yes, I remember. Was it someone actually asked me? They said because they'd heard me talking about Brian Aldous, and they said they were interested in checking out some of his work, and I actually produced a Brian Aldous starter kit where people who hadn't read his stuff um, could start. And by the way, is it PD James, the one who wrote Children of Man, by the way? Because I'm 99% sure I'm right there, but I'm second guessing myself. My Mama Thrash, actually read it. In fact, she actually said she wants to read Graybeard now because she wants to find the similarities therein. Number 6, and then we'll get scores. This should be fun. Um, uh, no more. Well, not another Brian Aldiss question, by the way. The only TV series to have a recurring retrospect on this channel is what? A. The Walking Dead, B. Breaking Bad, C. The X Files, or D. Fargo. I shall repeat. The only series to have a recurring retrospect on this channel. That is to say, I did a retrospect on an episode by episode basis. Was what? Is A. The Walking Dead, B. Breaking Bad, C. The X Files, or D. Fargo? Oprah. Now that you got. So apparently, I have more Coen Brothers fans out there than Brian Aldiss fans out there. Oh, and Indy says yes. PD James. PD James. Yeah. Thank you. And how about some scores? Mhm. And yes, Fargo is the correct answer. Dr. Phil. Oh, Johnny Orchard is here. Johnny, how you doing? Oh, Johnny, by the way, you weren't around for Friday, but remember the game you pitched to me about how to you take a classic movie and recast it? Yeah, I called the game the Recast Link, and I gave a sample the other day, Friday. So if you get a chance, check out the Friday's live stream and tell me what you think. And let's see. Tug has 4 of 5. Wajimine has 3 of 5. Teb has 3 of 5. Zubix has 1 out of 5. Sean is 5 for 5. Gee, we can tell who watches my content the most. Although I'm impressed with the other scores as well. Indy says, I refuse to score this game so as not to hurt your feelings, Bob. It's okay. It's okay. A lot of people don't. Many people have told me, they go, I love your live chats, but I just don't want your content. So that's okay. And here's Johnny. And Emily says, classic, you're just calling out all the grifters tonight, huh? And Johnny says, excellent, I will check it out. And Trey says, pardon me, but I am going to bed early. Love you all. Love you too, by the way. And don't worry, I'm probably going to wrap this up fairly early tonight myself, actually. I'm really dragging tonight for some reason. I don't know. Mrs. Thrush is a cold, and I think she might have given it to me. But in any case, good night, Tracy. Hope you feel better, my dear. And moving on, number 5. According to the Creepy Classic Compendium, what is the creepiest song ever? Is it A, Angie Baby by Helen Reddy, B, London Calling, The Clash, C, Timothy by The Buoys, or D, Smooth Criminal, Michael Jackson? I shall love story. Love is never having to see that movie. I shall repeat. According to Creepy Classic Compendium, what is the creepiest song ever? Is it A, Angie Baby, Helen Reddy, B, London Calling, The Clash, C, Timothy by The Buoys, The Boys, by The Buoys. Hey, you boys and girls. They used to put that on instead of boys and girls, trendy Cape Cod seafood restaurants, they would put buoys and gulls, as in the seagulls, on the restroom windows, but it was confusing people. Or Smooth Criminal, Michael Jackson. Indy says, okay, you got me. I'm 42 out of 43. And Tug says, I see how it is, Indy. If you're not 100%, you refuse to give your score. Glennerette. And Indy says, Professor of Rock did a really good video on this subject. Really? Professor of Rock? I get recommendations for stuff right now, and I'll have to check it out. But the correct answer is actually A, Angie Baby. The others are certainly qualified, but according to me, Angie Baby. And remember, this is according to my content channel. Number four. Oh, one thing. Johnny Orchard said, "Home by the Sea." Genesis is pretty creepy. I'm gonna have to check that one out. I'm not familiar with the lyrics. Um, Number four. What famous country music pop star got her own wretched recap on this channel? Was it A. Taylor Swift, B. Juice Newton, C. Marie Osmond, or D. Olivia Newton John? I shall repeat. What famous country music pop star got her own wretched recap on this channel? Was it A. Taylor Swift, B. Juice Newton, C. Marie Osmond, or D. Olivia Newton John? And I was gonna say, Superplex, you're supposedly my expert on wretched recaps. Midnight, and I'm waiting on the 12:05. I always thought Taylor Swift sort of got her shtick from Juice Newton, but I can't find any information to corroborate that. And he says, "No idea anybody but Smith." You know, it's this is the first time I'm actually not seeing the right answer. I'm gonna give it another minute. I think I may have just given the game away. Oh wait, no, Emily got it. C. Marie Osmond. Don't you remember I found that old Valkyrie comic book? Dave was posting something on Marie Osmond and how someone like or Pat McCormick found someone that looked like her in a comic, and I go, "Oh yeah, we'll check this out." And I pulled out my old Valkyrie, and the name of the wretched recap is Marie or not Marie. But yeah, it was Marie Osmond, and now everyone say Marie Osmond. So yes, Emily, you are correct. It was Marie Osmond. Marie or not Marie? That is the question. Number three. Other than dad jokes, so we have to disregard the dad jokes for this question. Other than dad jokes, what was my first top 10 list? Um, Arguably overdone post apocalyptic themes. The top 10 influences to non living dead. The top 10 customer service, the customer practices employees hate. Or D, the top 10 list of superfluous top 10 lists. I'll come in again. Other than dad jokes, what was my first top 10 list? Was it A, the top 10 list of arguably overdone post apocalyptic themes? B, the top 10 influences to Night of the Living Dead? C, the top 10 list of customer practices employees hate? Or D, the top 10 list of completely superfluous top 10 lists? And yeah, it looks like a lot of you got it. Yes, it was D, the completely superfluous top 10 lists. Number two. What was the first film reviewed on this channel? Was it A, Night of the Comet, B, The Warriors, C, The Christmas Story, or D, Night of the Generals? I'll come in again. What was the first film reviewed on this channel? Was it A, Night of the Comet, B, The Warriors, C, A Christmas Story, or D, Night of the Generals? They're all early reviews, so I see people racking their brains. I am the warrior. You know, I still haven't reviewed the Wizards, and I promised Tom McCluskey years ago I would review Wizards. And she said, "Yeah, I'm just guessing, though." And yes, Night of the Generals for the win. That was actually, believe it or not, that was the first movie I ever reviewed on this channel. I I think it was the second video I did. You know? And the number one question, and guess what? It's a Brian Aldis. The number one question: what was the first Aldis work reviewed on this channel? Was it A. Hot House, B. But What Can Replace a Man, C. Graybeard, or D. Earthworks? I shall repeat. What was the first Aldous work reviewed on this channel? Was it A. Hot House, B. But What Could Replace a Man, C. Graybeard, or D. Earthworks? Yellowbeard. No, that was when he was younger. Give it another minute or two. E. Someone order me a pizza. Cindy D says no beard. Oh, extra pineapple on the pizza. One homeless SpongeBob. When a kid ordered pineapple on their pizza at the restaurant, I used to say one homeless SpongeBob. And he says, you said earlier to Cindy that Graybeard was coming up later. This must be it. Did I say it was coming up later? Ooh, bite my tongue. But yes. Graybeard was the first all this work I reviewed on this channel. Um and you could tell because it's even more rambling than I normally ramble. Now, please, how about some scores, people? I will wait. Denny says, "LOL." Cindy says, "I don't remember that." LOL. Thrash. Quite all right. Zuplex is 2 out of 10. Emily says, "Tug." That's not an option. What you mean is 4 out of 10. Tug is 4 out of 10. Gary Carpenter says pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. Cindy is two of the missing questions. I'm sorry. Johnny Orchard is 2 out of 10. Um, Steve was 7 of 10. Majority faltered. I know the first five were suspiciously easy. Quite all right. That might be the highest score tonight, man. And Tug says no politics. Ixnay on the pineapple pay. Teb also got 7 out of 10. That might be the highest score yet. Gary also got 7 out of 10. Yeah, it looks like that was the number to beat tonight, 7 out of 10, guys. So I'm very proud of you. Cindy says we love you live, Thrash, and we love having you guys here, Cindy. Again, it's so nice having you back, Cindy. It was really nice. We haven't seen you in a while, so it's nice having you here this eve. And Emily says, I got the Marie Osmond question right. I have no clue about any of the others. Well, hey, Cindy, we'll take it. You did a fine job. And Tug says, I do prefer when he's alive. Yes, most people do. Cindy says, thank you, Thrash. And Cindy, we do. And Sean says, Emma, I got that one wrong. Yeah, most people miss that. Most people miss that. That was an old one. That whole Marie or not Marie. And I wish I could remember what started again. Pat or someone found an old comic and thought the person looked like Marie Osmond. And then I dug out one of mine who I thought looked like Marie Osmond. And he says, the only fruit I like on my pizza is tomatoes. Yes, tomato is a fruit. I couldn't play as I was busy watching every video on your channel. Like an open book test. And but anyway, the big thing is we had fun. The big thing, and I promise I won't do another solipsistic trivia game until my next anniversary. Entity says, "We love Thrash. Yes, we do. We love Thrash. How about you, Gary Carpenter?" Oh, thank you. And Gary says, "Indeed, tomatoes are veggie, not fruit." I believe technically they are a fruit. I forgot what constitutes them as being a fruit, not a vegetable, but Zublik says baseball next week. No, next week is going to be Val Kilmer. We promised Ted it's going to be Val Kilmer. And, anywho, guys, I don't know if you notice this. My voice is starting to crack. So rather than lose my voice, I think I'm going to have to kind of wrap things up early tonight. Oh, and Christopher says good night to Cindy. And of course, it begged for it. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. But anyway, I want to thank all you guys for stopping by tonight. Uh Emily says, for all the that's unholy. No super. And Duplex says, we thank you again, T Pawns. No, I thank you guys. I thank you guys. It's oh, is it the seeds? Thank you, Doug. It's the seeds. I had so much fun tonight. Tonight was an absolute blast. For those of you guys who missed Friday, I'm sorry you missed Friday, but for those of you who did make it, it was also a blast. Um, again, these videos they really mean a lot to me, and you guys joining me and having fun, and it really feels like I touch people, and I can't tell you how much that means to me. But anyway, like I said, I am going to wrap up a little tonight because again the voice is starting to go. But I want to say thank you again very 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 much. There will be new content. I intend to post another dad jokes this week and maybe another content post. And then again, it's going to be Danny, Sarah, and I this coming Sunday. Topic to be considered and entered later. But anyway, until then, guys, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I couldn't do these without you. And I really appreciate you guys taking your time out to spend some time with me. But anyway, until next time, be good, be safe, be careful. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. Peace.